Sit. Stay. Stay. Stay.
I use video evidence of your racist dog. Oh, my legs, it hurt so much.
What's up, Newb University? Are you trying to lose weight? Well, stay tuned. My next guest has some awesome tips that might help you get along the way. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 2 of Newb University. Today we have a very special guest. We have Mr. Troy Johnson. Troy Johnson, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, and hello to everyone out there watching Newb University.
It's good to have you on the show. Now, I had you come on the show because you have a very interesting story to tell.
Yes.
And if you look at this nice gentleman here, he's nice and lean, but it didn't used to be this way, did it?
No, it did not. I was a very large man.
Now, tell us, how big were you at your biggest?
My biggest, I was 285 pounds.
285. That's...
Oh, yeah. I was pushing the scales.
Wow. It's kind of an interesting thing because I didn't notice your weight loss. It was very gradual.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah,
one
definitely
day I saw you and I was like, wow, who are you?
Yeah, it happened quite a bit around the office. It was like everybody like, oh, are you losing weight? Like, yeah, I've been doing it for a little while. But yeah, the way I did it was very gradual. I think that's the best way to do it for like long-term weight loss in order to keep it on you, because a lot of things that people run into when they lose it fast is it's not sustainable and you'll go and put it right back on. So when I was losing weight, I was losing about 1 to 2 pounds a week, and I've been doing it since the beginning of 2018. So it's been about a year and a half. I've been doing it. Yeah.
So what was your total weight loss again? One more time.
My total weight loss as of yesterday when I weighed myself is 87 pounds.
87 pounds.
Yeah.
That's almost as much as my wife weighs.
Oh, yeah. I'm about to lose a claim. Yeah, that's my goal.
You lost a whole person. That's incredible. That's a great motivational story.
Crazy.
Now, one of the things that I was interested in is because, I myself struggle with weight.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing struggle. I yo-yo, I go up, down, up, down.
Yeah.
And for me, I know that it's food. And I know it's my nutrition. But take us back to, the earliest you can remember. Let's go back to your childhood. What was that like? Were you always a big kid?
Actually, no. When I was real young, I was actually a pretty skinny kid. I was, pretty active. I would go outside and play all the time. I used to play Little League Baseball. So whatever I ate, it would just come right off of me. I wouldn't even really notice at the time. So, whenever I used to eat large amounts. So, like, I'd be at home watching cartoons or something. I house like a whole bag of Doritos by myself like it was nothing. And it wouldn't be any problems. But I ran into problems a little bit later when we moved. And my mom didn't re-enroll me back into youth sports. And I was in a new neighborhood, so I wasn't outside playing with friends and stuff as much. So I spent most of my time inside. And the first time I noticed that I was, fat was in the 5th grade when we took pictures. And I looked at my picture and I was like, is that what I really look like? And I was like, man, what happened? Because I had this nice shirt and stuff I bought. I thought I was looking good. And I seen the front. I was like, this is not what I was expecting. So that's kind of when it first started with my weight gain and losing throughout the years.
That's interesting. Yeah, for myself, I have a similar story. Just kind of somewhere along the lines I noticed when I was younger, and being a very active kid myself, I understand kind of the struggle of all of a sudden, what happened?
Yeah. That's definitely what happened.
So, right around the time that you noticed that you were putting on the weight, did you make any efforts to lose it, or were you just kind of like, it is what it is?
Mm-hmm. Well, the first time I actually tried to lose weight was once I got out of high school, because starting in middle school, I started playing football. So I was doing sports again. I was active, but not enough to overbalance the way I was eating at that time. So it wasn't until after I got out of high school to where I started to actually try to lose weight a little bit when I first got in college. The first time I actually lost weight, it's actually a little bit by accident, because it was a job I got was a package handler at FedEx. So I got it all of a sudden because my mom kept bothering me, like, you need to get a job, I was like, yeah, whatever. And then because she kept passing about the place and it said not hiring. It was hiring for a reason because it's an awful place to work. But I worked there over the summer, and what I did was like 2 hours every night from like 11 to like 1 in the morning. I would go in there, I'd load these trucks, like kind of in between a box truck and an 18-wheeler. So they would send these packages down, and I would load these trucks. So it would be like physical activity for like 2 hours straight, me going and going and going and going. Every time I leave work, I'd be covered in sweat and stuff. And I come home and I kind of noticed after that summer, I lost like 30 pounds or something just doing that job. So then I decided, like, well, this is going pretty well. So I started to try to do some stuff on my own. I started running. I started drinking water more instead of like Kool-Aid and bad stuff I was drinking before that. And then I noticed I started losing a little bit more weight. So that time, I was probably about 21 or 22 years old. I lost about 40 to 50 pounds doing that. But then when I got back into school and I got up into the higher levels in our major, because we, majored in the same thing in school, and we got into our senior class, how hectic that was. So I didn't really have a lot of time to be active. So I was like working on that project all the time, and then eating bad, going out with friends to eat all the time. And then gradually the weight started coming back on again. And then I started working IT. So, over my first 3 years working on IT, I put on about like another like 40 pounds. So I was like, well, maybe I should try to change things. That's why you notice I had started to bring my lunch and stuff, because I know we were eating out every day, and I was like, this is not good long term for me. So it was at the end of 2017, we went to that Christmas party. I remember up there at the top floor, and we were taking pictures and stuff. And after I got that picture I took with you and another one of our coworkers, Jason, and I saw myself in that picture, I was like, man, like this is like getting really bad at this point. Like I gotta head this off, because I know my family has a health history problem with heart problems and other things. I have family members that died from heart attacks and other kind of diseases like that related to your weight. So I was like, well, I'm still kind of young now, and I got to do something about this now before it's too late, because the older you get, the harder it is to make those changes and lose the weight and everything. And around that same time when I saw that picture, and I was like, I need to drop some weight. I also got a flyer for a weight loss program through our health insurance at our job called Real Appeal. So I was like, well, I'm going to try this and see if this works, because I've been doing stuff on my own. It has been working. So let me see if I try some professional type stuff and see if that helps me. So when I first tried to do it, I was kind of nervous about it, because you had to go to a meeting. It's not like a physical meeting. It was kind of like an online meeting. There's a chat room, and then you can do video and stuff if you want to. I signed up for a meeting like at the beginning, like January, like first week of January. I was supposed to go, but I was kind of nervous about it, so I skipped it, and I didn't go. And then I, got back to work and, started feeling bad about it. It's like, do I really want to do it? I was like, you know what? Let me just try one meeting and see how it goes. It doesn't hurt, just to me, just to try and see what it's like. And I went to the meeting. I liked it, because, there's a lot of people that was in the same situation as me trying to lose weight, and it wasn't them like chastising you or making you feel bad about being the way that you are. It's trying to get to the root of the issues and trying to figure out things that you can change on your own in order to lose the weight. It wasn't advertising some quick weight loss things like, oh, here we have a magic formula and you can just take this and all of a sudden you just drop all this weight off. They kind of let you know, like, okay, these are the actual things that are causing you to be larger, what you're eating, psychologically, physically, what you're doing. And once I saw it was like that, it's something like, well, I want to keep this going. And I just kept doing it, and I kept making little changes over time, week after week, and a little bit more exercise, trying a different exercise routine, trying a different food, eliminating this food, or switching out this substitute, or continuing to drink more water than I was drinking before, cutting back on the juices and stuff I was drinking. So it was like little itty bitty changes just over time that eventually added up, and then it started coming off.
So one thing I want to go back to that you touched on was that you did play sports.
Yes.
Now, what were your eating habits around the time? Because it was football, so I've been assuming lots of food was involved
lots
in
of
this.
food.
So tell us about what you were eating.
Basically whatever my mom made. So lots of things that were fried, stuff was cooked quickly. I was definitely a fan of getting second plates whenever it was possible. So it was really no limit to what I would eat. I would eat ice cream or whatever I liked is what I ate. So it wasn't really any conscious decision for me thinking like, oh, this is good or this is bad. Like, if it tastes good, then yeah, I'm gonna eat it.
I understand that, because I'm in the same boat. I see food and I eat it.
Yeah, it's pretty much what I was like.
That's good. So, at home, you mentioned your mom cooked whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I find this to be true for myself, is that my mother did not really understand the concepts of good nutrition and portion sizes. I think that was a key.
Not at all, yeah.
Was that the case for you as well?
Yeah. It was a lot of portion sizes, and it was kind of like a rule, well, not spoken rule, just kind of known, like if you put it on your plate, you need to eat it. So whenever we would eat, we'd fill up our plates, and you're like, well, if you throwing food away, that would like not a good thing. So you got to eat everything that's there. Yeah, so that's where that habit came from. And also, a lot of times when I was in sports, we would get out for lunch around. We would get out from our athletic period around the same time lunch was. So we would be some of the last people getting there, so we wouldn't have a lot of time to get food. So I would just get something that was fast, so like a hot wing basket or something I can get and scarf down in like 15 minutes. So I think that contributed a lot too, because that also quickened up the speed that I would eat. So I wouldn't like they recommend a lot of times that you slow down when you eat in order to enjoy the food, in order to become, have a satisfied, full feeling instead of eating it fast. And, they call it mindless eating. So you just eat and eat, you're not really thinking about it. So I think that contributed some to it, because I would just get the food like, well, I got fifth period in like 15 minutes. I ain't got much time to eat this. Let me just scarf it down as fast as I can and go on to the next thing.
Yeah. I mean, that could definitely mess up your
yeah
your weight. I mean, any potential that you could have had to lose the weight, even though you're doing sports. I mean, you're not burning all the calories that you're putting in your body at that point. So let's fast forward a little to you mentioned school, and I'm very familiar. We went to the same school, by the way, yes. University of Houston.
Go Cougs.
Yes, go Cougs. So we actually went to the same program, and that's kind of how we work at the same location. So it's kind of, we have a very similar kind of story. And you mentioned one thing that kind of clicked was you and your stress level during school, because I remember that point. You were eating out of vending machines, and in college life, I mean, everybody knows it's rough. So tell us, what about college? What were you eating around the time when you were in college?
Oh, around the time I was in college, once again, lots of stuff. I would eat, pizzas, even healthy stuff I would make unhealthy. So I used to like to go to Subway to eat, but instead of getting like a 6-inch turkey sandwich, I would get like an Italian sandwich, a foot-long Italian sandwich. I would get 2 foot-longs actually, because I was thinking like, well, I'm only going to eat this one meal today, so I got to pack on as much food as I can right now, like I'm about to go into hibernation or something, I guess. But I was getting like large amounts of food, so like 2 foot-longs I would get at Subway. Or when I was in school away from home at University of North Texas for a couple years, and I was first out on my own, first learning how to eat on Saturdays. Like during the week, I had a meal plan, so I would eat at one of the cafeterias at school. So that covered my meals, Monday through Friday. But on Saturdays, it wouldn't cover that. So I would only have like a little bit of money from my working around campus to get food. So I could only get food once a day. So I would just go to places and kind of pack up food for the day and eat it like one time. So if I went to McDonald's, I would get like 2 of those double cheeseburgers, 2 chicken sandwiches, and like 2 fries, and then a drink. And I would just sit there and eat that whole thing. Or if I got pizza from Domino's, I would get like a medium pizza and like a sandwich, one of those big sandwiches that they would have there, and I would eat all of that at one time. Or if I go to Taco Cabana, I would get like a burrito, nachos, quesadilla, just all way too much stuff than I should have been eating at that time. But I was figuring like, well, I'm only eating once today, so I have to eat a lot. And obviously, as I've learned now, that's not the case. This stuff is way better if you spread it out throughout the day, and it's not exactly how much you're eating, it's the quality of food that you're eating too. So if you're eating stuff in low calorie density, as I learned, that you can eat a lot more. So like a lot more vegetables and fruits, so you can eat a lot more of that stuff because it's really low in calories, so it really balances out. But if you're eating like nachos and fried food and stuff like that, it's very high in calories, so use less of that you can eat. So if you eat the amount you're supposed to, you won't really get hungry off of that, because the calories are a lot higher, and then you obviously have to make up for that because you're still hungry, and then you end up going way over what you're supposed to be for that time.
Yeah, that's good. That's definitely a good tip about eating, the correct portion size, because I think that's one of the big items that people, struggle with is, you don't feel that fullness with the junk food, because you're like, oh, it's just a little bit of fries, but what you don't understand is all the calorie and fat that's associated with those types of food.
And just that little bit.
Yeah, with just that little bit. So now let's go ahead and fast forward now to you're losing weight, and you're conscious about what you're eating. What are some of the things that you eat now that you feel that have attributed to your weight loss?
Now a big thing is me switching out my snacks. So when I come home from work, I eat snacks before I exercise and work out every night. Before it would be chips and stuff like that, real salty food. So now I replace that with fruit. So every week I buy myself watermelon, and I cut that up, and it'll have enough for a week. I buy me some grapes that I also eat at home that'll last me throughout the whole week. And I also eat like whole nuts. So one thing I like to eat is almonds, and there's this brand I'm forgetting the name right now. I think it's called Green Emerald or something like that. And you can get like 100-calorie packs. So you get like 10 100-calorie packs of nuts that you can eat throughout the week. So I know like in this pack, okay, this is 100 calories. And so that helps a lot. And then also meal planning helps me a lot. So every Sunday, like today, I picked out all my meals for the week. So I know the 5 things I'm going to cook for myself for this week. So I made a list, went out, grocery shop, got it all at home. So whenever I make meals throughout the week, I know exactly what I'm having, what the calories are in it, and it'll keep me on track and keep me from getting things that I shouldn't be getting. So if I'm somebody at work, like we go to Starbucks or something like that, and they have like some pastries and stuff there that look good, I won't get it because I'm already covered because I already got the food that I need already made for me here, at home and for at work at lunch.
Yeah, that's actually excellent that you brought that up. I wanted to actually touch on that, which is really interesting. So, we talked about this earlier, and we said, we pretty much ate out every day. We work together, like I mentioned, and what we would typically do is we would pick a restauant, and you're eating 5 days a week at a restaurant, and you have no clue what the calories or the nutritional values of these things are. And when I noticed your weight loss, I noticed you had your lunch, your packed lunch, and the things you would cook were like incredible. I mean, you would have like the stuff. I'm like, are those nachos? Like stuff that look delicious, but they're very healthy for you because of the way you cook it. So what are some of the things that you enjoy cooking that kind of give you that sense that maybe you're not eating something that's, because when you think of healthy food, you don't think of tasting very well. So what are some of the things that you like to eat that you cook in a very healthy manner, but you still go, that's good.
Yeah, a good one I like to do is pizza, because I got this recipe, y'all seen it before, this barbecue pizza that I make. So instead of having like a big old pizza with like lots of processed meats like pepperonis and sausages and stuff like that, I make a chicken pizza. So I get some naan bread, some barbecue sauce, chicken that I cook in my pressure cooker. I get onions, bell peppers, mushrooms, all that stuff, and then a little bit of mozzarella cheese to put on top. You put it onto the naan, you put it in the oven, and it comes out to taste really good. And it's only like, I think like 300 or 400 calories.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you should see, and I wish we would have pictures of some of the stuff that you cook.
I make,
because I'm like, you need to open up a restaurant with some of these recipes you come in. I mean, it'll put me to shame because when I do eat out, I'm like, man, like that looks really good, Troy.
Yeah.
You need to just have your own type of like snap kitchen setup. I mean,
second income, baby.
That's a potential.
Troy's Treats, plugging that right now.
Look out for it soon.
Oh yeah.
So that's good. So tell me about exercise, because I know that plays a huge role into the weight loss and keeping your weight in check. So tell me what you do for exercise.
What I usually do for exercise, I found a good app that I use. I like the Nike app, and they have a lot of free workouts on there. So it allows me to keep a variety in my workouts, because I try to base my workouts on, I try to get at least 30 minutes of exercise 5 days a week, because that's what's recommended by the American Heart Association. So at the beginning of, like, I do it every 3 weeks. I pick a new set of workouts. So I pick workout for Monday and Tuesday, and I kind of alternate for a 3-week time period in order to have some variety. And I usually pick stuff that has cardio. That strength training is very important too, because you want to build muscle in order to replace all the, stuff that you're losing. When you start to lose weight, you don't just lose fat, you also lose muscle. So in order to keep from getting like too skinny, you have to keep doing strength workout, and that also helps burn more fat over time. And I just go with that. And about every month I pick a new set of workouts, and also I do the workouts at home, because I hated going to the gym, clearly, because I was very large. So that's kind of a big thing that I like to stress on with people. Just, it's not, you don't have to go to the gym in order to work out or get activity. You just got to find stuff that works for you. I found the app that had the workouts and stuff that works for me. But for somebody else, it might be going jogging around the neighborhood, or going out and playing basketball with friends, or going hiking or biking or something like that. It's just some kind of activity that you do every day. And once you start doing it every day, it becomes routine, and it starts to feel weird when you don't do it. So if I have a day, or if I'm like on vacation or something, I'm not exercising, I feel kind of weird, because I'm so used to doing it every day at home. When I get home from work, it's like part of my normal routine now.
So when do you work out? When do you choose your workouts? Are you doing like in the morning or in the evenings?
I do it in the evenings because I am not a morning person at all. In the morning I pretty much get up, take a shower, and go straight to work because I try to get as much sleep as I can. I'm way more of a night owl. That's the way I've always been. So I feel that I have more energy and stuff to work out at night once I get home from work. Because as you see when you work with us, you're similar to I am. We do work better and we're more productive later we get on in the day.
Yes.
So some people are wired differently. So you just got to find a time that works for you. Some people it might be in the morning instead. That's when they're more up and at it, or whenever you can fit in your schedule. If you have kids or something, and you might not really have time at home, and you have to do it, during your lunch break. Because I see people do that at work too. People go and work out during the lunch break instead of eating at and then eat at the desk and stuff instead. So it's just finding what works for you, whatever time period, whatever workouts that you do. As long as you're doing something, is the most important thing.
That's great. That's good. That's definitely a good tip. So let's talk about the future. So are you at a point where you're content of where you are, or do you feel like you still got a little ways to go? What's the ideal goal on your weight loss? Are you there, or do you feel like you got a little bit ways to go?
Yeah, I'm pretty much there on where I wanted to be. When I first started the thing way back at the beginning of last year, I only wanted to lose 40 pounds that year. So I've
you doubled
gone,
that.
way past that. So now the main thing for me is just keeping up the good things that I'm doing, because I don't want to go back like I had before and realize that I had before. Because when you do this, not just a short-term thing, it's a long-term thing. It's for the rest of your life. It's not temporary, because if you go back to doing what you're doing before, you go back to being at the size you were before and the health problems that you had before. So this is something that I had to keep on with myself. So it's like it's always a daily struggle all the time, when you gotta go out and get stuff, and I decide not to get stuff. Sometimes that's hard because I want to get it too. Sometimes some of that stuff that you or Matthew or Jason, our other coworkers might get looks good, but I'm like, no, I've already had something this day. I already had sweets this day. Like, I get cookies with you on Monday, but that's the only day I get cookies, because I know, like, if I keep doing this every day, bad effects and bad things will happen. So it's just that constant reminding myself that I have to stay on top of it, or, it'll, fall back, or, get out of control.
No, that makes sense. And one thing you touched on is, your health. We have, and this goes for myself. I mean, I've had a couple of health scares where I thought, my health was declining, and I've had to go to the hospital a few times. And one key thing that kind of scares me is, just because of my ethnicity, we're diabetes, high cholesterol. They kind of it's huge around colored people of color, anybody like Hispanic or Black. Do you think that also plays a role into the reasoning why you're doing this?
Yeah, very much. It hit me very close to home. I don't know if I told you this, but my dad passed 10 years ago from a heart attack. He had a clogged artery. That thing that your friend had that he went to the hospital, he had the same thing.
Wow.
But he didn't make it back from that. So that's a very big, moment in my life that I go back and look at, like, I don't want to go out the same way that my father did. If I do it that way, then I didn't learn anything from him. So I have an opportunity, in order to turn things around in my life while I'm still young, and make a change and be around longer for all my family and friends and all that stuff. Because I know my dad, he also struggled with it. I remember him trying to, go to the gym and, lose weight and trying to eat healthier. And it just got to the point it was very hard for him to do, because he was older. He was in his 40s when he passed. So, I just want to take care of it now before I get to that point.
That's good. That's that's definitely, you're breaking the cycle. You're ending it here, and I'm glad to hear that from you. So one of the things that it's a happy kind of bad thing, because now you got to go shopping, right?
Yeah.
Now you got to get different clothes from what you were wearing before.
Yeah, I know. I got so many extra clothes I need to get rid of. I had to buy some new hangers last week. Yeah, I got to give some of that stuff away.
Yeah, and we'll try to throw out a couple of pictures so people see kind of your progress. But one of the pictures that I think kind of put everything in context was I got married and you were there.
Yeah.
And I think that when you look at that picture of you then and you now, you're not even the same person.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm way to my hair shorter now. I very, very a lot smaller than I was at that point. I'm just as good as a dancer as I was then, though. I got there with those moves on the dance floor. But yeah,
you were killing it.
I'm way smaller now than I was then. Yeah.
So did you go out and buy a whole new wardrobe? And
eventually, gradually, yeah, we got a little bit expensive, but yeah, because I had to wait because I was trying to do it while I was doing it, but I would like buy some new stuff and I'll end up losing some more weight. And then I'm like, well, I can't fit that anymore, so I gotta go back and buy some more stuff. So hopefully, this last round of clothes I bought a few months ago will be the last one. Yeah, because my pant size, when I was at my biggest, my pant size was size 42. Now it's a size 32. And my shirt was like an extra large, and now I wear a size medium inserts.
That's
so, yeah.
good. Oh wow, that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
and one thing also that's kind of interesting. And see, you have like you're built. I mean, you like you said, you play football, and you're a tall individual yourself. Yeah. So one thing that I remember you talking about, sorry to go back a little, I should have brought this up earlier, but one story that I remember you telling me was like shopping for clothes when you were at your largest.
Yeah.
And that moment of like, oh, this doesn't fit, and
like, oh, I gotta get some new stuff now. Yeah, when I had to go to Destination XL for the first time, that was not a good experience. I went in there, I was like, well, I can't find the pants that fit me in Target where I usually buy my clothes. Like, well, gotta go to the plus size clothes store. I went in there trying to find clothes, like, man, and all this stuff is huge, and all the models were huge. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm in here. Then I went to buy the pants. I was like, these pants is $50 a pants. I was like, oh my God, these is expensive. I got 2 pairs of pants, and that was it. I never went back to Destination XL.
See, that's a good story because it kind of it embodies everything that you work for. Not only did you lose weight, but now you're going to save money because your clothes are cheaper. So
yes,
that's
small people clothes are cheaper than fat people.
Yeah,
clothes.
So that's definitely a plus side. So I think everybody out there that's listening, that's one thing to take away, that you're thinking, oh, cooking healthy is expensive and it takes time, but there's all these added benefits to doing so. Yeah. So I'm glad you're sharing that with us. So one thing that I wanted to touch on is more of along the lines of how you see yourself, because in recent times in media, everybody's talking about body shaming and the way people see themselves. Let's talk a little bit, let's go into depth of how did you see yourself internally? Did you kind of ignore it, or was it one of those things where you were conscious about it but you didn't know what to do?
Yeah, I was conscious about it, and I was kind of accepting it because I've always been a taller, bigger person. So I was like, well, maybe I'm just how I am. I'm just a big person. I was cool with it, but it was more of for me personally, it's more of the health side, long-term health that made me make the change. And I think that's a good thing for people to remind themselves of. It's not just how you look, it's just how you feel on the inside that's important as well. So you can be big and still be confident in your stuff and still look good. But for me, I just felt like for my long-term health, me losing weight would be the best way to do it, because it's not just, my heart and all that stuff, the physical stuff that helps. It helps me a lot mentally now because I have, less anxiety than I used to have before when I was large. I was less stressed out and stuff at work, and, just overall my mood is better than it used to be back then.
That's good to hear, because that's one thing that I don't think people touch on is, the psychological changes that do come with being large versus, somebody that's got a healthier lifestyle. And I know personally from myself, because like I mentioned, my weight fluctuates, and I'm a fairly active person. I exercise, well, not recently, but I'm athletic. I used to be in triathlons, all types of sports. And when I'm fit, I feel energized and I feel good. But when I'm not, when I'm large, it's like, man, it's just, I'm tired all the time. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that's one of the things that people should take should take into consideration is, how do you want to feel in the end? By the end of the day, do you want to be drained, or do you still want to feel energized? So I'm glad you brought that up. So tell us one more thing before we wrap up. Is I'd like to get from you is, what is the number one tip for anybody that's listening that's going, man, this is hard to do, I'm struggling with weight? What is the number one thing that you think would help them get them on the right path?
I would say finding a support system of people who want to help you reach your goal as much as you do. That was very big for me when I joined that Real Appealer group, being there with people who were like-minded like me, that were struggling through the same stuff I went to, helped me feel that I wasn't alone in doing this, and I had some people that I could confide in, people that had my back. So a support system I think is very big in losing weight.
Yeah, that's definitely a good tip, and I'm sure everybody out there, if you guys are struggling with weight, like you mentioned, please reach out to somebody that can help you. Whether that's going to a program like you did, or just YouTube. I mean, YouTube is a great search engine.
Find a community somewhere.
Exactly.
Some people that are trying to do the same things that you're trying to do. You always get people that'll have your back. They give you good tips, stuff you didn't know of before. That'll help you get along the way.
Great. And, thank you for coming out today. I mean, this is it's been very inspirational for myself, very educational, and hopefully everybody out there got a little bit of something. So, we'd like to thank you for coming on the show, and,
no problem.
Hopefully we'll have you again. And,
I'd love to come back.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll come back a little buffer.
I don't know. I'm coming back swole. I'll be up here looking like the Rock.
There you go. All right. Well, that wraps it up for episode number 2. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and thank you, Troy.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. See you later.
All right. Thanks, everyone. And cut. Ooh, nice.
Man, your boy killed that.
Pretty good.